Hey, Todd, Fred and Rita, welcome. Sherry, welcome. Alexandria, lovely to have you with us again. Hans and Lisa, as always. See your beautiful faces. We'll just wait another minute and then we will get going. Hope you've all had a good week. I've had a very interesting week. Still some battles from the festival that we're just addressing. But apart from that, we're all good. Always remembering that we are above and not beneath. So I've just had a couple of days out, literally out. Processing, moving forward and what that all looks like. It's good to do that. And I'm going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about discernment, and I want to get into the nitty-gritty of discernment. So discernment. So a lot of people think that, discernment is just a spiritual gift, but it's not. There's quite a few elements to discernment that I want to break down for you today. And so I'm just going to kick off. So discernment is more than just simple decision making. It is the careful, thoughtful process of distinguishing between right and wrong, truth and falsehood. It actually allows you to peel back the layers of how things appear, so that you can reach toward the deeper truths of circumstances, situations, or even people. And discernment is a guidance. So, one of the things is, cultivate discernment in your life. And it's really important that you do, and we'll just keep going with that. So discernment means to separate or to distinguish. The Latin means to sift apart. And we sift apart through observation and understanding. So discernment in its application is insight, it's intuition. And what happens is we're all born with a type of intuition. It's an inherited intuition. It's in our DNA. And it's up to us to cultivate it or grow it, or eat. To me, that's being in the spirit. So I'm always looking, sifting apart, which I just said, is what it means by observation and understanding. So I'll look at things and I'll sift it. I'll sift through it. I'll look for the truth in situations or circumstances, even conversations. So I'm looking for the truth of what people are saying, because it's really important that we discern that, especially in the times that we are living. So it's reflective. It's a reflective in action. Remember, I talked to you about contemplating. Now we can contemplate, who God is and his presence and all that awe and wonder of who he is, but it's good to be reflective in the situations and circumstances that you face. So it's not just simply knowing what something is, but perceiving what it means, what it could become, and what implications it holds. So when you're discerning a situation, like, for example, you're about to go into business with someone, And it always seems beautiful right at the beginning, doesn't it? It's always, yeah, we're going to do this and this is going to be awesome. And we're going to go 50-50 in this and we're going to help each other. And, we're going to make money and we're going to be able to do really good things with that money and all that sort of stuff. And it becomes, we get caught up in the excitement. And this is where we should sit back. Acknowledge the fun, acknowledge everything that is possible, but then step back and apply your discernment. Because what that discernment will begin to open up for you is what it could become. What could this relationship become down the track? Is it going to end up being devastating? Is their word going to be their word? Are they going to end up, ripping you off, so to speak, or, using you to achieve what they want and then kick you to the curb? So, look at what it could become. Really important, guys. And the other thing is, what implications it holds. So in other words, if you're investing financially into this adventure, what are the implications of this? Are you going to lose your money? Do you see, by using your discernment, see down the road what this is going to look like? So this is, I joke about how I can see around corners. Well, this is how you discern what's around the corner. This is how you can connect with people and you can see what kind of relationship it's going to be. Now, sometimes people, they present a certain way and I see who they are and I go, well, okay, I'm prepared to go down this road with you to see if it brings change. In other words, are they going to grow out of this relationship or will they go to their default and turn nasty? So I'll always walk with people. I'll always pour grace because that's what God does. But ultimately, there's always that free will. So let's see where we end up. Now, I got to be honest, guys. 9 times out of 10, what I see that could potentially happen, the implications tend to happen. But there's still been this really nice journey at the beginning that was fruitful. There's things that I learnt, there's things that they learnt, but at the end of the day, they show their true colours. So if you're already prepared for what possibly could happen, you don't get disappointed and you don't get sidetracked going, oh my gosh, I never knew that was going to happen. Because you're already forewarned is forearmed. But we still pour grace on that relationship. We still, give ourselves to it. But we're already knowing what potentially could happen. Potentially they could change. But always through these circumstances, there are things that I have learnt. There's things I've learnt about myself. There's things I've learnt about God, and I'll embrace it. So there's some of the things that discernment brings to you. The beautiful thing is when we partner with discernment, we are able to make well-considered choices. In other words, we're considering all the things that I just talked about. What could this become? What I perceive that it means, or what implications will it hold? So when we start partnering with discernment, we can make well-considered decisions and choices. So again, we can see what this choice will look like down the track, and we can make the decision. Now, I still make choices that I know what's going to happen, but I'll still make them. Because I go, you know what? Let's just get through this anyway. Come on, we can do this. We all do that. And then I'm in the situation and I go, oh, yes, God, you did show me that this is what was going to happen. And now I'm in the thick of it. So how do I step back out of that? How do I change that? By making other choices. So don't be hard on yourself. Don't, punish yourself, because it's part of your learnings. It's part of your growing. And more and more I go, Dot, you didn't listen, and you need to listen. But at the same time, God is always in it with you. Remember, he never leaves you or forsakes you. And this is, again, a religious concept that if you are not, if you've made a mistake or you've done it your way anyway, God's going to leave you and just go, well, sort yourself out. That's not the truth. The truth is he is always with you. So he will help get you out of those circumstances and situations. And often, again, it's just going, God, I'm sorry. You showed me and I thought I knew better. Because guess what? We all do that. We all sometimes think we know better. And that's okay, because that's in the learnings as well. Going, okay, God, you know better. And he certainly does. So discernment is multi-dimensional. So I'm going to break that down for you, because I want you to get how it actually works in different elements. So discernment, as I said, is multidimensional. So it is intelligence. It's our intellect. We can use our intellect to have discernment, right? So this can guide us against being gullible. You know that saying, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Now, there's a lot of stuff out there at the moment that is just for the gullible. It really is. People are diving on different things and platforms and running with different, multi-level marketing things. And, it's going to be so good. And I'm just going, nah. Because at the end of the day, most of the people that make the money are the people at the very top. So again, and there are some good things about multi-level marketing, because often it wouldn't come out if it wasn't on a multi-level marketing event platform, right? There are some things that can be released to the public that are actually good. They're good for humans. They're good. They're good things to have. But on the whole, when you look at the history of where multiple level marketing actually was birthed, always look to the foundation, always look to where it was, conceptualized. It was all about making money. There's also the emotional. We need to interpret our emotions with discernment. If you are in a heat of an argument and you make a decision, you are not making it from a place where you can actually weigh up all the circumstances and situations. In other words, going back to what I said about perceiving what it means, what it could become, and what implications it holds. So often in a heated argument, words are said that, you can't take back, and things implode, and, people leave and things get broken and all that sort of stuff. You know what I'm talking about? This is where we need to not come from our emotions, especially when we're in a heightened state where we're even in a fight or flight circumstance. You will not be able to make an accurate discernment or decision in that position, because rationale goes out the window, fear comes in, and everything's exacerbated, everything is accelerated, and it just doesn't make for good decision making. That's why it's and not only that, you've got to, that's where you need to look at yourself. This is the emotional part of you. Why? What's triggered me to feel like this? Why am I reacting like this? Especially if you're a calm person, if it's not normally you, if you're, normally all together, you've got to look at that, guys, because you need to discern what's actually going on. And it's the same if the other person is exploding, or they're, irate, or they're, freaking out. It's like, what's going on for them? Don't look at the fruit of what's happening. Let's look to the root of why that's happening. Because when you, start to step back, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute, it helps you discern what's actually going on. And then, of course, there's the discernment that comes from the spiritual realm. And it will always align you with higher value and purpose. In other words, it's always the higher path. It's always the highest way of thinking. The other aspect is ethical. Sometimes we'll use discernment from our core values, from what's right and what's wrong. But our core values can vary. Core values are very interesting, and they're very entwined in how we actually react and respond to things, to people and to situations. And core values are different because these are the things that you inherit in your upbringing. Or they can be inherited culturally. And this is where sometimes core values are detrimental to other people, which then become a generational event. And this is where sometimes entities or spiritual aspects tend to run down those core values. Now, if you have core values of, truth and honesty and integrity, they're good core values. And if you're coming from that place of having those core values, you will find it very easy to step into discernment and discern the whole situation. Discernment is a constant. In other words, we need it every day. We need it to just every situation and circumstance. To me, it's part of being spiritual or in the spirit. Remember, I said discernment is spiritual. It's coming from that higher place, that higher level, so that you're looking things. We'll call it this. It's like looking at circumstances and situations through the eyes of God. God, how do you see this? What's your heart towards this situation? What's really happening? And with discernment, you can then start to pick up what's actually going on. Is this a spiritual thing that I'm dealing with? Is it an entity? Is it oppression? Is it possession? Is there traumas? Is there hurts? Has there been words spoken? And this is a two-way one. This is just, is this me, or is this the other person, Or is it both of us? So when you step back and discern and ask those questions, you know, I'm the question girl. Remember to ask questions. It will give you the insight that you are needing answers for. It will grow your relationship, and it'll grow your confidence and your boldness in when you are hearing God or the Spirit talk to you. So the more you use discernment, the more you partner with discernment, the more that grows. And it becomes, you don't have to ask questions, you just see it straight away because you're already in that, okay, what's happening here? It's already vibrating on your very being. Okay, it's the same as when you, again, partly when you walk into a situation, you're discerning straight away what needs to happen, what you need to be in that situation. Now, I had a situation last week. I was sitting in my car at a set of lights. And on the opposite side, this car came flying around the corner. And as I watched, I went, wow, that car's going really fast. Next minute, in my mirror, it was doing 6 somersaults in the air. It was like, oh my gosh, then hit the ground, hit the road, and rolled another 3 times. And I got out of the car instantly, got out of the car and watched that car slide to a stop. Now, there was a whole lot of cars behind me as well. And I'm sitting at the traffic light. So I'm like, I've got to move my car. So I got out of the car and I straight away went, there was young guys around the car. I was like, God just said, you don't need to go to the car. And I looked at someone and they had their phone and they're just holding it. I said, quickly call the police and the ambulance. And she went, oh, okay. So she got onto it straight away. And then it was like, that's all I needed to do. That was all I was told to do. And then I had to get back in my car and move it. And by this time, there was about 10 people around the car. And as soon as I drove off, I heard the ambulance coming. So it was a case of, I was like, I watched this and straight away I was going, okay, what do I need to do in this situation? It was instant. And it was like, tell someone to call the police. Because I couldn't pick up my phone, guys. In Queensland, if you pick up your phone and you're in your car, you can get fined $1,700 if you have your phone in your hand while you're in your car. So I'm like, I'm not touching my phone. But I got out of the car and someone else had their phone. So it was like, call the ambulance, call the police. It like to see that, it was like watching stunt drivers. Honestly, it was just so surreal watching that car. And then I went into the spirit and started praying that they would be okay, that there would be a miracle in that situation. So again, it's just, it can become, it's like second nature. It just, the more you use it, the more you step into it, the more you engage it. Every aspect of the spirit, guys, everything that I bring to you, all the tools, you know, the productive time, you know, the powerful times, all these things that I've taught you are things, the more you engage them, and I hope that you are, the more that you embrace them, the more they will become not second nature, first nature. It will just be who you are. So that's why we need discernment every minute of the day. Because sometimes discernment can be clouded by our personal biases. It can be influenced by misinformation. And it can, again, overwhelming emotions. can cloud your discernment. So it's really important that you're able to almost step out of what you're feeling or what you think and get God's heart for the situation, for the circumstances. So that is, remember, step back. Just step back. Whether you need to take a physical step or whether you just take a step back within you and just go, okay, this is a circumstance. I'm not like, it's like stepping out of the circumstance. Step back and have a look at the situation. Assess the situation with discernment. If you need to go, God, help me understand what's happening, please do so. But activate that discernment. That intuition that tells you, that gut feeling, something's not right. Please listen to that. If you see little red flags, don't dismiss them. Sometimes I see little red flags. Sometimes it's just one. Sometimes I see a whole lot, right? But it's like, okay, this is not the way to go. Okay, let's go a different way. Or let's just pull back from this situation. And this again, guys, when you have self-respect and self-love, you won't put yourself into situations that is detrimental for you. There are some people that you get a red flag, step away. Step away and just go, okay, this is not a friendship I need to pursue. And you'll hear down the track that you've made a very wise decision, because there will be things about that person that are all they're about is distraction and disruption. So this is where, and I've gotten a lot better at this, but I've learned to go, when God says step away, red flag, don't engage, I go, okay. Because we can't afford to be taken out of what God is asking us to do or calling us to do. Not in this season, guys. Not in this time that we are all in. It's really important that we stay true to what God is asking us to do. And when we step back, we get a higher perspective. So, and I'll come back to that because I want to show you how to activate that. So this is what I was saying before, cultivate discernment. It becomes an anchor in that if you are constantly looking, okay, God, what's happening here? My mind's all confused. So help me get discernment. What's going on here? And again, this is another tool that I've shared. Remember, you can encapsulate your thoughts. If your mind is so busy, you can encapsulate them and go, right, peace, be still, mind, be still, so that you can hear the voice of God, so you get discernment. If you're constantly reacting to situations, you will be tossed to and fro. You'll be going, oh, will I go this way? No, I'll go this way. Oh, I don't know what to think. Oh, I'm so confused. Which way are we going? Are we up? Are we down? Are we sideways? Are we black? Are we blonde? I don't know. So you need to speak to that. Doesn't matter what the situation is. That's when you become a very valuable asset in circumstances that are happening around you. This is what enabled me to make decisions during the floods that helped people. If I was caught up in their state, in their emotions, in their devastation, I would not have been any help to them. I absolutely had empathy for them, but I had to stay above it so that I could let them know it was going to be okay. that we were here to help, and this is how we will help you. So it's really important. That's where you know, again, that growth of cultivating discernment. It means you become an anchor for those around you, but it's also an anchor for you. So you are not pulled from pillar to post. You are not tossed to and fro, as scripture says, because your mind is stayed set on what needs to happen. So all of this discernment comes from a very incredible scripture, and that is Proverbs 2, verse 2 to 12. It talks about taking the hand of wisdom and asking for discernment so that you have understanding, that you have insight, so that then you are above the circumstances and the situations. You are, this is how you look around corners. This is how you see futuristic events and timelines. Remember, I talked about timelines. We can choose which timeline that we're on. We can choose which event that presents itself as an offer, whether we want to take it or not. So seek the light of wisdom is an invitation to live in accordance with higher wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Let our choices reflect understanding, compassion, and integrity. So when we make choices with discernment, the fruit of that is just abundant living. It's abundant life. It's living according to God's precepts and his whole purpose and plan for you. And that's how you stay the course. There are some decisions that I've had to make where I've kind of triple checked. God, is that what you really want me to do? Is that the choice you really are asking me to make? Because I had to be sure, because it did not only affect me, it affected a couple of other people that are really important in my life. And this is where you know, you can ask, he will show you. He's happy to show you. Don't think that he can only tell you once and then you can't ask again. Please ask as many times as you feel comfortable. If you need discernment, if you need confirmation, ask for confirmation. Because God is well able to bring someone into your life that will confirm what you need to hear. And what I find so fascinating with discernment is when I have conversations with people, I let my discernment show me what it is that I need to hear. So bring discernment into your conversations, guys. Also, the discernment will show you what's influencing other people. In other words, what's behind them? What's driving them? What's governing them? Is it God, or is it, you know, something that we don't want to actually partake with? Are there entities influencing that person to bring harm or destruction? Because this is what is happening. This is the spiritual realm. We are multi-dimensional people or beings. And when we live in that higher dimension, all these things are revealed. If we want to refer to Jesus, who is the perfect example of being in right relationship with God, he knew the intent of people's hearts. That's what discernment does. He knew their motives. He knew what they were up to. That is for you and I today. It didn't disappear when Jesus disappeared. He was the beginning. He was the one in right relationship, which then became the door or the bridge for us to come into right relationship with God and walk in the same fruits. This is why discernment, everyone calls it a gift of the Spirit. It is a gift of the Spirit, but it's a necessity. So please cultivate it, engage with it, respect it, encourage it, enjoy it, because that's God's heart towards us. And again, like I said, the more you use it, the more you enable it, the more you cultivate it, the more you will utilize it. It will become your first nature, not your second nature. It will start as your second nature. It will start as your go-to. It's like, okay, this is my circumstances. This is how I perceive it. Now I'll go to the spirit of wisdom and get discernment and understanding. But then it will start to be in you. It will start to flow through you. Sometimes wisdom will just come out of your mouth. You don't know. It's like, what? Where did that come from? I better listen to that myself, because you are flowing with the Spirit. You are one with God and releasing that into the atmosphere. We are his co-creators. Please don't forget that. We are the ones that are to create the new heaven and the new earth. And I often ask this question: if you were asked today what a new heaven and new earth would look like, would you have an answer? Lots of people, what? I don't know what that looks like. What? Is it the same as what we've got, but maybe a little bit better? Because our programming is to go for what we have already had. It's a really interesting question to ask yourself. And I'm sitting and contemplating and go, God, if you asked me to create a new heaven and earth with you, what would it look like? How would I perceive that? Now, a lot of us would go to, well, no one would be poor. But in that word poor, what are you thinking? Is it like money? Or are we thinking about poor in spirit? I don't have much, guys, because I don't need much. But I know one thing: I feel rich in my spirit. Not in the worldly sense, but in the relationship that I have with God. It's full of richness. It's full of adventure. It's full of awe and wonder that, every day it's like, okay, what are we doing today, God? It takes you out of the ho-hum of this world that has already been presented to us. The programming, I'm talking about the structure that we are living under, the system. But we don't have to live in that system. We can live above that system. We can live out of that system by where we place our heart, where we place our mind, and where we look. And discernment is a big key. Discernment will actually, let me go a little bit deeper for a minute. When people talk about being spiritual, and the word is now, you know, the new norm. Everyone's spiritual. So I start to ask questions about their spirituality. So what does that mean for you? Oh, well, I sit and meditate for 3 hours every morning. I go, okay. What do you meditate on? Oh, I just let my mind go blank. So this new, they call it sorry, there's a word for it, mental meditation. That's it. It actually means they go to nothing. So this is another new trend, but it's not connecting them spiritually. When I go into a meditation, not that I do that, I live in it. But when you're thinking about God, that's when you're meditating on who he is. There's a big difference. And, you know, again, I've got to say this, the new age that's coming through now is now a new cage. It certainly is becoming a new cage. It's becoming formulas. It's becoming rituals. It's becoming modalities where they're, instead of, you know, they're worshiping crystals instead of worshiping the creator. You know, and I said this at the festival, it's like, you know, we are the symbol. We are the crystal. We are the dowsing rods. We are what are they when they use for smudging? We are all those things. We don't need them outside of ourselves, because if you're in an emergency and you're dealing with some entities, you can't go, hang on a minute, I'll just go get my crystal that's going to clear you. Hang on a minute, I'll just go get the, you know, sage so I can smoke you out of my room. That's not walking in your authority. That's giving your authority to a creation, not the creator. We are co-creators. We need to walk into a room and clear it by our voice, by our presence. We need to vibrate with the frequency and the power and the authority that God has already placed inside of us. And your discernment is part of that, because it will give you insight to what you're actually dealing with. It will help you see down the road. It will help you tap into wisdom or the very heart of God, so you can discern what it is you are up against or what you need to do. It's not just for when we're in a battle or when we're in a crisis situation. And I always find it really interesting when people are in crisis, they call out to God. Let's be pre-armed for battle. Let us not wait for a crisis. Let us not wait for devastation. Let's already be armed and ready to deal with a solution to that situation. That is God's heart for us. That is his desire. That's how he made us. So I'm going to leave some time for questions. Has anyone got some questions that they would like to ask? Alexandria, yeah.
Oh, thank you for this.
Hey, sweetie, how are you?
Very good. This is very also exactly what is needed, because I'm doing this course, And it's becoming very clear that it's very into the system, and the things that I have to do is answer the answers that are against my
Your core
against my
values.
nature. Yes.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
I'm making a decision to exit this, even though it would be very good for my job.
Okay.
um,
So the question then to ask yourself is, this is the question to ask yourself, sweetheart. Does God
yes.
want you to do this course so that you can make a difference on the other end of it?
Yes.
Okay, because sometimes we got to go through what is contrary to what we believe, but we still got to do it, because at the other end there's this a fear of influence that God has for you. So the question is asking God, do I persist with this because of where you want to position me?
Yes, this is an aged care course.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
I understand. I get it. I understand. I hate peddling with the system. I'm doing a course myself as a celebrancy course. And I decided to do it because I wanted to understand the contracts that they engage us. And
Yes.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, God, this goes against everything that's within me. And I'm struggling with it too. But I'm going, okay, God, do I persist or do I drop it? Because I've got a heart to bring people together under the right energy and influence, not the ones that the system is portraying, because it's another contract with the system. When two people get married, they don't get married to each other, they get married to a corporation. That's how the wording is set up.
Yes.
And I just go, oh my goodness. So, yeah, God will show you, sweetheart. But yeah, ask for discernment. Do what you need to do.
Thank you very much.
All right, sweetheart. Anybody else? Cool. You've all got that down pat. Awesome. All right. Well, I hope I explained that simply enough. I hope that you got some revelation out of that and got inspiration as well. And encouragement. Don't dismiss what you're being shown, which a lot of people do. They dismiss when the Spirit is talking to them because they don't know that it is the voice or the Spirit of God. Yes, Jenny, is that your hand?
That's me. So you were just tapping into something that I was just thinking on, and I think that if you could, I spent years of my life doubting what I was discerning, and I would always question, because I was kind of trained to just trust the authority, the elder, whoever was in charge, rather than stick to my own discernment.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
how do you rebuke that? Simply, what if it just continues to keep happening? How do you break out of that?
Okay, so that's part of, there's a couple of things entwined with that. Number one, the programming. So you've got to break that mindset, especially if it's rooted in, we have to respect our elders and, they are full of wisdom and they know best. This is part of the spell that we're under, and we've got to break that spell. The other thing is just often we don't listen to what God is telling us because we don't know who he really is and who we are in him. So we dismiss a lot of things that he shows us. And because, even as a kid, I used to tell my parents things that were going to happen and they would just, oh, don't be stupid, because I was to be seen and not heard. But it always happened. But they would look at me, but then they would never acknowledge it. that I told them what was happening, right? Because that meant that they had to acknowledge that I was right and they were wrong. And a lot of elders and elderly people can't do that because it's against their pride and their ego. So, and that's part of our learning too, you know, because often I'm right and people still go the other way. I never tell them, well, I told you so, because at the end of the day, it's their choice. I have to stay true to what I'm being shown or what God's telling me to do. Even when people going, oh, God wouldn't have told you to do that. I'm going, well, he did. So there's a confidence. That, you know, that what you're hearing. So this is where you come into discerning. This is, again, the tool. This was a tool that God showed me when I was in my early 20s or 23. I go, God, how do I know it's you and not me? And he said, I want you to encapsulate all your own thoughts and feelings and bring it under the lordship of God. And my mind would go blank. It would go quiet. And then whatever came back, I knew was him. So this is where we talk about alignment. This is where spirit governs over this body, governs over the mind, it governs over the emotions, it governs over the physical body. That is right alignment in government, spiritual governance. Too often, people are governed by their thoughts or their intellect, or they can be governed by their heart. So the discernment is always getting God's heart on a situation, getting his insight. He knows better than you do what you need. And the best prayers that I've ever prayed is, God, you give me what you know I need. I'm not asked, because he'll ask me, he goes, what do you want? I go, it's a bit like Solomon. What do you want? He goes, give me wisdom. I go, God, you give me what you know I need. And the things that came into my life were phenomenal. There were things that came in my life that I didn't even know that I wanted or needed, but when I got them was blessed out of my socks. So it's always come out of your head knowledge. Just because you can quote millions of scriptures doesn't mean that you understand the spirit realm. It doesn't even prove that you know who God really is unless you have that personal relationship, that intimate communication, one-on-one with God. So this is where you grow in that. You grow in hearing, knowing God's voice. Because it's very different to lots of other voices. I know it. So when he tells me to do something, I do it. And it gets to the point where he just tells me very softly, and I'm already doing what he's telling me to do. Because we're like this. Because that's how he designed us to be. Not like this. And not like this. Or this. But this. Entwined. That's his heart for every single one of us. When you step into that, you're not looking for other people to meet your needs. You're not looking for other people to give you, that reassurance or the accolades or the, pat on the back, like, good job. It doesn't come from people. It comes from God. When God says that, it's a happy day. It's like, okay, we did it. We did it. We did it. We did it together. We are in a partnership, not a dictatorship. That's the difference of a true relationship with God. Did that answer your question, Jenny? Yeah.
Better than I expected, yes.
Oh, well, thank you. All right. Anyone else before we sign off for the morning? Todd, go Todd.
Hi, Dottie. Yeah, my question is just recently I ran into a really intelligent person, and what he had to say, like high IQ, right? Like really high IQ. So, what he's got to say, in my eyes, has a lot of clout. And what he had to say was I had to take a lot of discernment in it. Now, how should I be asking God what he's saying? Is it true or not?
Absolutely. This is where you use your discernment. You just go, God, remember what I said at the beginning? It's like discernment. Let me just have a look. Discernment is when you get insight into what is truth. So you're sifting apart what is truth. There's a lot of very charismatic, well-spoken, educated people that can twist things so many different ways to make it sound really good. Now, scripturally, it says, beware of the man that tickles your ears. All right? Because there are people that will tickle your ears. In other words, it all sounds great, all seems wonderful, highly intelligent. Wow, that's, So when I come across people like that, Todd, I listen to what they have to say. I hear them, and then I discern it. Or if I don't understand it, I put it on a shelf for God to show me again. God always confirms, because all of a sudden there'll be another person saying it, and then another person like, oh, okay, this is not just a one-off. This is a ripple sound that's going through the earth.
Yeah, the reason I ask is because this gentleman he's been a family friend for a while. So what he says, but we haven't seen him for a while, but he is a little extreme too on certain things, right? So I did get ratification that I was doing the right thing by not listening to what he had to say, right? And that was in yesterday's prayer.
Right.
With Isaac, right? I sat outside and a hawk landed on a tree and it sat there for 70 minutes. It showed up 2 minutes before the meeting and it left 2 minutes after 70 minutes, or it left right after 70 minutes. And I thought it was just showing me something. It was like something from God. It was awesome.
Okay. So is he asking for money?
Oh, no, not
Okay.
asking for money, honey, but he's not believing in the Bible and he's believing in aliens.
Okay. Yep. I know what you're talking about, Todd. So, yeah.
But the thing is he's so smart, he can come up with the evidence, right? It's like I can't back up anything that he says because I haven't been down those roads, right? So
Yeah.
it's because of his intelligence. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah. Well, I always find when people, this is what happens for me, Todd. When people are speaking truth, it resonates in my spirit. It's like something inside me resonates with it. There's life on it. Does that make sense? So to me, when there's life on it, that means God's on it, because God is life. So that's how, and then, because sometimes they'll throw a few things in there that you go, wow, that's truth. And then you hear a whole lot of other stuff and you go, I don't know about that. So, and you don't have to argue, you just let people speak and share, because there is some truth in some things that they say. So the old saying is, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Sometimes there is, snippets of truth in there. We've just got to find it. And that's what discernment is. Remember, it allows you to peel back the layers of appearances to reach toward deeper truths. Right? So that's what discernment is. You always use discernment. Never
Right.
leave home without it.
Exactly. And knowledge is knowledge, but it all depends on where it comes from.
Well, if we want to go into the history, if we look at, how the education system was set up, the Rothschilds actually took over the education system to train the populace on what they want them to think, not what we are meant to think. So there's a whole lot to our education system. The whole work 9 to 5, 7 days a week, all that sort of stuff is all part of their programming to keep us on the treadmill.
Oh,
so
yeah.
So the whole
Definitely.
education system. So I find people that are super, super intelligent have a really hard time on grasping hold of the concept of God.
Yeah, and that's, the funny thing is that what they think is super intelligent is that the people that think in God believe in some magical nobody that's in the clouds, right? That's what they think, right? That's what the
Which is
super intelligent think. But they don't know or have experienced anybody that has done a miracle or something like that, right? That comes from God. So, that's the questions you got to ask. Have you been there? Have you done that, right? Sort of.
yeah. Yep, I understand. All right, well, there we go, guys. We've had another morning, and I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next Friday. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jenny. Have a great week.
Thank you, Daddy.
Thank you.